We humans desire entertainments. Even when we were cavemen, we played with sticks, painted on the walls, and made stories. As we evolved as a species, we started grasping for more entertainment. Eventually, we made the plays we did as cavemen into film we could watch forever. People then wondered if fantasy could be made into stories that could be watched and almost feel like they are real. Well, in 1906, J. Stuart Blackton produced the first animation film, Funny Faces. As the animation world evolved, it really started to get popular. In 1922, there was Steamboat Willie. In 1930, there was Dizzy Dishes. Then, with the release of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in 1937, animation got to a point where some people liked it over live action, even if it was not fantasy. On June 5th, 1962, the first Spider-Man comic was made by Stan Lee with art by Steve Ditko. It shook the genre's landscape. People wanted more out of the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. It was unlike anything that came before it. Most films and books were of an almost godlike hero who defeated giant villains. And if the hero lost, the whole wide world would be shattered. The man was different. He was a 15-year-old kid saving small-time crimes in a city. The story didn't have massive stakes about the world being in danger, or having the hero being a demigod. So then why did people love it? Well, it was relatable. People didn't care about characters they couldn't relate to, even if they were extremely powerful. In 2002, they made the first Spider-Man movie. The comic book came to life. In 2004, they made a sequel to the film called Spider-Man 2. I know, what a great name. Then, in 2007, they made another film about Spider-Man. I want you to guess what the name is. It's Spider-Man 3. Then, in 2012, they made the Amazing. Development of the Amazing Spider-Man began the following cancellation of Spider-Man 4, which ended the streak of created names. Then, in 2014, they released the Amazing Spider-Man 2. People criticized the story, tone, and overabundance of storyline, but there was some good from the movie. For example, the musical score and the visual effects. Then, in 2017, there was Spider-Man Homecoming, introducing Tom Holland, the most popular actor. In the beginning of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, you see a zoom-in of a teenager listening to music. What I like about this is that it gives relatability to the character, right off the bat. Then you learn that the character's name is Miles Morales. As you see him get out of bed and go to school, with beautiful animation to back it up, then there is a scene of him hitting puberty, which is the first indication of him being Spider-Man. But what I like about it is the fact that it's done in a creative way, instead of just telling you. While he is hitting puberty, he is trying to talk to his crush, which makes it more awkward and comedic. To back it up, before the puberty scene, he got embarrassed by his dad. After he woke up, he went to his uncle to do graffiti in an underground tunnel. While he was doing graffiti, the classic scene of the radioactive spider biting the main character was going to begin. Unlike every other time, where the person who got bitten always screamed in pain, Miles didn't care whatsoever. Then the viewer makes the connection that him hitting puberty is because of the bite. Miles Morales, while being extra sicky, gets pummeled by pigeons against the school building as he gets dragged along for the ride. While getting off the train later that night, Miles investigates the spider that bit him. While poking at it, it suddenly glitches out. Miles then notices a sound and heads toward it. Then in a flash, he gets weird sensations and looks up and notices there's a big beast, commonly known as Green Goblin, and that the actual Spider-Man is clashing with the massive creature. Now, what I think separates Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse from other movies from the series is, first, it's animated beautifully. Second, the storyline doesn't have so many holes that I get trypophobia. Third, the story idea is really unique. I mean, just think about it. All Spider-Men from different backgrounds and dimensions basically hanging out. All the other Spider-Man movies were just Spider-Man saving crimes or hanging out with the Avengers. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse gets Spider-Man from different universes, each unique, and have them fight a villain that will destroy the whole world. The dichotomy between Miles Morales and Peter B. Parker is the main driving point of the movie and sets up most of the conflict. The death of Spider-Man in the movie is what set up the whole movie, which is an interesting way to set up the whole thing instead of just having Miles Morales meet Peter Parker in his house. The entire crew of different Spider people is unique in art style and personality. The creator could have easily just had them look similar to Peter Parker, but different personalities. The art style even matches the nature of each character. The voice acting of each character is top notch. It represents their characters to a high degree. The voice of Miles Morales, Shane McMorty, really encapsulates the young teenager discovering a new part of himself. The voice of Peter B. Parker, Chris Pine, does a really good job making the character sound like a middle-aged retired superhero. The rest of the cast does an amazing job of encapsulating each of their respective characters. The animation in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is the best I have ever seen by a long shot. It took Sony 800 people and 4 years plus $90 million to make the film. They put so much attention to detail, every little frame cared with so much affection to make the best possible viewing experience. Peter Ramsey, Rodney Rothman, and Bob Percy, I don't know how to spell that. The directors put so much time and effort, it's not even fun. All the directors having different styles and skill sets to bring the film as much distinctiveness as possible. Nick Kondo is the lead animator of the film, and I can imagine how tough it would be to be lead animator of a film with one of the best, if not best, animation of all time. The animation style in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That means the animation doesn't change every single frame. Characters will be held up for 1 frame, 2 frames, 3 frames, so that their motion looks jittery. Another method they use is they blend 3D and 2D. They also adjusted the frames depending on the circumstances. Like for example, when Peter B. Parker is teaching Miles how to swing, Peter B. Parker, the more experienced Spider-Man, has more frames per minute, so he looks smoother and more experienced. Miles Morales, on the other hand, has never swung, so the animation further pushes that idea by having him have less frames per minute, which makes him look more choppy and inexperienced. This method of frame adjustments, depending on what is happening, is quite common in the movie and makes it feel more alive. The creators of the movie were inspired by the art style of comic books. They use halftones, hatching, all to make the film feel like a Spider-Man comic book coming to life. They also use color very effectively. For example, when he is going to school and he is in his neighborhood, he is in his space, so the color is saturated and vibrant. When he's in his school where he feels stressed and in a new environment, the color becomes more muted and mostly consists of grey tones to make it feel anxious and cramped. They also use dots as a halftone to make it feel even more like a comic book. Some freeze frames even look like it was stripped straight from a Spider-Man comic book. It took 140 animators to make the animation, which makes sense when you think about it, because they chose such a unique style and there was so much attention to detail that of course they needed that many people working on it. So what we can learn from all of this is that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse differentiates itself from all other Spider-Man movies, or even media in general. The animation techniques to make it feel like a comic book, to the never-before seen story idea, to the voice acting perfectly representing each and every character, all to make Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse one of the best movies of all time.